to everybody out there doing a thing today. What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello.
It's your boy Ken Kong, back in the mix. We're here to talk about it. I cut my hair, so if y'all see me and I look a little different, it's because I cut my hair. But don't worry, I'm still the same me. The hair don't make the man make the hair. That's what I understand. Man, I got some good people in the building. Today, what's up? We got some good people in the building. Don't worry about hearing that in the background. Don't worry, I'm still the same me. Hair don't make the man. Don't worry about hearing that echo in the background. We gonna get it together. Yeah, we're gonna turn the volume off. Okay. Okay, we better now. All right, that's good.
Gotta love Facebook settings.
Yes, we gotta make it happen. I want to thank everybody for checking in. Today is a very important topic, and the topic today is mental and physical health, and it's something that I want to address because if anybody knows, if they've been watching the show, all I've been doing is focusing this year on things that are positive, things that are helpful, things that will give people in the community something that they can hold on to and move forward with in a positive manner. And we talking health, we talking family, we talking money management, we talking real estate. And this week we're going to be talking about mental and physical health, because this is something that in our community, and I'm speaking about the Black community and even let's say the Latino community, we have a fear of going to the doctor, number one. Number two, we also, when we go to the doctor, we don't want to believe in certain things that we're being told, so we figure I'll go ahead and do it my way and I'll medicate myself and can't nobody tell me this is that and the third. And certain diagnoses we may receive, we don't want to deal with them, but these are the things that we have to deal with. So I have some powerful people in the building with me today, and I'm so glad that they're here, because me giving you my perspective is one thing, but me giving other people their perspective, allowing other people to share their own perspective is another part of this. And I'm glad I got the people in the building to help me out today. So the first person I'm going to start with, I'm going to bring it around so y'all can see them. This lovely lady. She got some video on me. I don't know how she got it, but we ain't finna go there right now. But with that being said, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself, let the people know who you are and what you do.
So my name is Trisheana Hunter, or I go by Trisheana Barzar. I'm actually full-time disabled, but I run Moving the Mountains, which is really just about inspiring people to get past whatever's in their way, whether it's mental health problems, physical health problems, whatever you're going through. That's really my focus in life. That's what I do.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. We're going to come back to you. I'm going to slide the camera this way to this brother with his nice hat on.
Hey now.
The salt and pepper beard.
Check it out.
He's usually in some Sprinter pants, but I don't know if he got them on today.
I ain't got on the breakaways.
He ain't got
tonight,
the breakaways
man.
today.
Ain't got on the breakaways tonight, man.
Go ahead and let the people know who you are and what you do, my brother.
Well, I'm TheShogun Mitchell.
Yes, you are.
I am a certified recovery support specialist.
Wow.
And what that means is that I have both lived and professional experience within mental health and substance use industry. So, I'm used to being in the industry that makes money off of dysfunction.
Wow.
So, here we are able to talk about these issues that we are all facing at this current movement.
And people don't understand how much money is made.
Oh, it's a billion dollar business.
The dysfunction
$1 billion
the
business.
dysfunction is not free.
No, it costs. It's gonna cost you one way
or the other.
Another. Yes, sir.
Now I'm gonna slide it on right around here to this next young lady. I ain't seen her in a hot minute, but she was available to come on in today. She reached out to me, and I want to appreciate her. Let her know how much I appreciate her. Go ahead and let the people know who you are and what you do, my dear.
I'm Tamika, and King, I'm always there in the sideline supporting you.
She front line today.
Everything. But I'm grateful to be here. I actually teach, and what is just most important to me, mental health is very important to me because I'm touched with it personally and my family, just very close. And one thing I did, or I've always done, when talking and dealing with students, just try to encourage them about their mental health and the things that they put in their body that affects that. So for me, mental health is just a very important issue, and it's very close to home as well.
All righty. See, this is gonna be a good. I didn't even know she was a teacher like that. You never know. Now, I want to let the people in the room know. I tagged all of y'all. We Facebook Live right now. Let me just. Yeah, we gonna. I'm gonna verify real quick.
Yay.
Because I want to make sure. Yeah, you in there.
Okay.
You in there.
I want to send it to other people.
Go ahead. Go to it, and it's public. So once you go to look for the Facebook Live,
Gotcha.
And just hit the share button, and you can let everybody get it, or you can select people you want to send it to. If anybody's out there listening, please share this, because this is the information that we always want to ask questions about certain things, but because we don't see people that look like us, we feel like we're not comfortable asking those questions. So today, this is the time for you to ask those questions and get some answers to the questions that you have. Let me explain the genesis of what we're doing here today. I had a phone conversation with a longtime friend who's changing his lifestyle. He stopped drinking. He stopped smoking marijuana, and he's in the gym. He's trying to change his life completely. And basically, we were saying you can't help somebody else before you help yourself. And he's going through a situation where he's relearning life as an adult, as a 40-plus-year-old man, because he's changing everything that he's done since he was a teenager, pretty much. And it's affected him as a parent. It's affecting him as a husband. And he's learning how to live life now without the buffer of any substance. And, health is something I've been striving to do. I've been getting myself together for years, like most of us have. And, it was a situation where I felt like I had to put a post up, and the post said you can't help anyone before you help yourself. And mental and physical health is just as important as your physical health.
Absolutely.
And I got such great feedback on that post. I said I need to bring some people in. So I'm glad we got some of the people in the building. And I'm going to start with Trisheana because she's closest to me. And Trisheana, just get that mic as close as you can. There you go. I want to let me know how mental health has affected you in a personal way, whether it was you yourself, a friend, family. Take us through the journey of why you wanted to be here today.
The funny thing with me is that it's not a short story.
Right.
My first battles with mental health and wellness and all of that started when I was about 7.
Okay.
I was diagnosed with PTSD at 8.
At 8?
I came up with a lot of health issues. So we talked about this being about mental health and physical health at the same time. And I started having surgeries when I was 6.
Wow.
By the time I was 7 years old, I had 7 brain surgeries.
Wow.
I also grew up in a household where, the same thing that you were talking about, my parents medicated.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So while I was healing, my parents were trying to fight each other.
Wow.
So I grew up with that. It was something that, it was a really dark time. And I ended up moving in with my grandmother, and my grandmother tried to talk me through it and this, that, and the other. And we talked about the stigma and the things like that go along with it.
Like you don't want to don't let nobody know what's going on with you.
What happens in this house, stay in this house.
Because they're going to treat you differently, and you can't trust nobody. Yeah, go ahead. See, this the pregame that we learn as children.
Yep. That
we run with the rest of our lives.
Yep.
And we came up with what happens in this house stays in this house
right.
mentality.
Oh yeah.
And it was my grandmother who was, she went to church, she prayed, she believed that I needed to get some help. And when I got some help, I think I was in 4th grade, and I got home and CPS was at my house.
Wow.
So that was a really big lesson for me. Okay, so this is what happens when you go for help.
Right.
So you just don't go for help. And, fast forward, I ended up getting really sick again in 2014. Since February of 2014 and today, I've had 5 brain surgeries, and I have lost both my breasts that I'm going through reconstruction, and had sepsis and septic shock and all kinds of things that you just don't expect are going to happen. You have all these plans for your life. You think it's going to go well.
Right.
And when you have that kind of health issue and you get up and you get knocked back down, and then you get up and you get knocked back down, it takes a lot on you mentally.
Oh, yeah.
And I can remember times I called my daddy and I said, Daddy, I just can't do it anymore. Tears in my eyes, I can't go. And my daddy would just say, all you can do is keep picking them up and putting them down. Just put one foot in front of the other. That's literally all you can do. Just put one more foot, put one foot in front of the other.
Right. Because at certain points, you don't have answers anymore.
No. So you got to trust that the next step going to reveal something.
This is major.
When when you try to look at the next 3 miles, the next 200 yards, whatever, you're like, well, I don't know. I barely got out of bed this morning.
Right.
How I'm going to make it that far?
Right.
Daddy was like, no, baby. You just keep picking them up and putting them down.
Right.
You just put one foot in front of the other.
Because after a while, they don't have anything else they can say. Because they like, I done told her everything I can say. Now, it gets to a point where you feel like this is probably what's going to be the way it's going. You know what I'm saying? And I just have to. They tell you things like, just gonna get better. Just keep facing.
Just keep praying.
Just keep praying. And you like, well, I've been praying and things that can, continually going in this other direction.
And it's funny because we talk about Black mental health and mental wellness. So I think it's a good time to talk about even Black religion.
Oh yeah, we can talk about all that.
Because we've been told, well, you just must not be praying hard enough.
Man.
I've been told stuff like, well, your surgery is a direct correlation to your sin.
Man.
And I'm like, but it started when I was 5.
Right.
So, how sinful was I at 5? You should learn to pray in tongues, because if you pray in tongues, the devil can understand you. I said, oh, that must be it. I don't speak in tongues.
Right.
So you start asking for help. You start questioning your faith, whatever your faith may be, whether it's Buddha or Jesus or whatever it is. You start questioning all of it, because it all tells you prosperity's waiting.
Exactly. It's the same thing where everybody had that friend and their brother did all the dirt.
Right.
And the brother get away with everything, but the other brother that don't do nothing wrong get caught up in something that gets shot, and you like, well, why him? Oh, he's paying for his brother's sins of the brother, or sins of the father. You question a lot of things in life, and it's okay to do that. And don't let nobody tell you it's not okay to question what you've been told all your life.
Right.
Period. I'm gonna slide to my man Shogun, because me and Shogun, when we have our conversations, they go where they go. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm glad the brother's in the building, because the thing I love about him, he don't hold his tongue about how he feels about things. So I want you to let the people know how you've been affected personally, either with yourself or with family, friends, someone, and how it's affected you in the long run.
Well, it's a cluster of everything, man. I'm really truly glad that we're all here to really speak on this, And I think the biggest part of it is the stigma.
Yes.
It's really the stigma that really keeps us bound and imprisoned, and it continues the suffering amongst us.
Yes.
We could talk about Black culture all day, but this is a thing that it's a worldwide event.
Yes.
And it's truly an epidemic. I was having this conversation with a good friend just the other day, and we were talking about why I brought up the fact of gang violence, right?
Right.
And I talked about, what's going on in Chicago. Obviously, I'm not from there, but
I am. Go ahead.
Right, but I know individuals that are, and,
right.
And I'm always hip to the news and things that are going on, but we don't talk about it being a mental health issue.
They suffering.
We just say it's gang violence. Hey, them they out there shooting each other, killing each other in the street, and We talk about getting rid of the guns, which is fine. And obviously, if you're not shooting each other, man, that's a start.
Right.
But what about the mental health portion of it?
It's generational.
And it's generational. And it's the pathology of it, man, that continues to happen and happen. It's an ever-ending circle, right?
Right.
It's an ever-ending circle that individuals like ourselves, man, are just not able to get off one way or another. Whether it's infecting you directly, or it's somewhere near you, you're a part of it, right?
Right.
So, me growing up, man, in a family that obviously were religious.
Yes.
Very religious, man, which, I have no quarrels with religious individuals. I've just only had my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, things that I've watched both in the church and outside of the church. And don't get me wrong, man. Hey, if you got strong faith, keep your faith.
Keep it.
Keep your faith and stay strong to it. Hold on to it dearly. However, here's the caveat. It's the judgment that's involved.
Right.
It's the condemnation that's involved that comes along with that I'm hoping that educating each other, being open to understanding what mental health is about, that gives people a better way of expressing themselves, because God isn't enough. It's not. And if there wasn't teachers and preachers and instructors and therapists and physicians, then where will we be now? So I think it's not just it being faith-based, but let's talk about the medical portion of it, and let's bring them together if that's the case.
Right.
Let's bring them together. So, my experience has been on a personal level. Obviously, it's been on a professional level. Obviously, I've been in this for 18 years of my life, both in social services and behavioral health, and I've seen just about some of everything. I had my run-ins with the law out there. Either I was on it, selling it, both at the same time.
Right.
And it came to a point in my life, man, where I got caught up in the system, man. Out there on them drugs, man. Got caught up in the system, man, thinking I was, that invincible stage. I can do anything I want. We can party like we want.
Right.
And then I got caught up.
Right.
And I learned real quick how, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
And not only that, but I learned real quick how the allowance of the substances in my life were bringing on certain psychosis that I didn't think that, man.
Yeah.
If you don't know the word, look it up. Psychosis.
Right.
My individuals that are still out there smoking them rocks, crack, meth, even those who smoke marijuana.
Especially the marijuana that they smoking now is not the marijuana they were smoking back in the day.
No,
they ain't smoking reefer now. They smoking some bubonic next level. Exactly.
When you go to the store and you can buy your stuff, man, at the grade that it is sold, man, it's not recreation anymore, man. You are numbing yourself, man. You're escaping from something. You got to wake and bake, baby. Something's going on in your life, man, where you can't function throughout the day, man, without hitting the pipe, man, or hitting the blunt, man. So, once again, man, it's an interesting thing that is going on. Obviously, man, we'll dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, we're going to dive into it.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into it. Let me slide over here. Tamika, the super supporter in the building today.
All right.
Tamika.
Let me just say something. God is good.
Okay.
We are all here today and all of these different perspectives and perceptions, and I love it.
Amen.
I'm just going to say, for me, mental health started when I was about 13 years old, and I watched my mother go mentally insane.
Wow.
By the time I was 14, my mom had a nervous breakdown. By the time I was 16, she had the second nervous breakdown. My brother was killed. And next thing you know, she was diagnosed schizophrenic. So just in experiencing that as a young child and not understanding what was going on at that time, it prompted me as I got older to take steps. My degree is actually in psychology. It's the grace of God I ended up in teaching. It was something I always wanted to do. I write, it was just something that I ended up being great at, something I wanted to do. But I went into psychology because I felt I needed to understand what happened to my mom. I needed to understand, if I played a part. I had no answers at this point. After she became mentally ill, I ended up pretty much, in some ways, I was homeless. You know, I had to pretty much figure out my life from the time I was 15, working 2 jobs, on to now, 42 years old. And I had to do that with no mother, still with no mother. I feel like, first and foremost, America is a business. They are about money.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
They are not about us. They are not about their people. And I say this to say, you know, you can go over to other countries. You can go to Canada, London. Their healthcare is free, and they have some of the best healthcare throughout the countries. And the reason it is that way is because they care about their people. You know, if you produce mentally healthy people, just imagine maybe what type of world will we have? Because we see people that are mentally ill right now. I see it in the kids. I see it in the adults. I see this every single day. So it tells us that something is wrong. And for me, you know, just getting a little bit more into mental health and into 1,000 other issues. Anything I can learn, I'm just apt to learn it. And I realize the things that we're putting in our body contribute to our mental health.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
It's drugs, it's alcohol. And I say these, I'm not saying everybody drink alcohol. I say, and everybody that smoke marijuana gonna go crazy. No, I say all these things in moderation. That if you do these things, you do them. You don't do them on a regular, like you said, all day basis. You just can't, because you're living a life of being impaired all day long. So you're not fully here and fully aware of what's going on.
Absolutely.
So one thing I tried to focus on, I had a lot of students. Who felt that, you know, I kept seeing them say, you know, I can't think straight. I can't grasp this. I can't learn this. You know, what's wrong? And, you know, amongst that, seeing so many other issues. But I had to think about it, you know, why is this happening as a whole? And first thing it prompted me to look at is the food, genetically modified sugar. We're not putting real sugar in our body. I'm a 70s baby. You know, we grew up, food was different. Things were different. Everything was mainly, at that point in time, real, naturally homegrown, no poisons, no toxins, no hormones. Think about what mental illness is. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. So it's basically telling you that you got not enough or too much going through to your brain. And when you think about, like I said, genetically modified sugars that we put, all my students just come in, sugar. And me being a mom and me being, you know, again, a person who takes this seriously, you know, I had to ask them, like, what? You couldn't grab an orange, you couldn't grab a banana, you know, you couldn't grab something. That sugar is not going to feed your brain. And it's making my job harder, and it's making your job harder. You know, and I preach this, and to the point where people, hey, everybody know me, you know, people will probably get tired of hearing it. But we got food with extra hormones in it.
Absolutely.
You know, we already got the amount of hormones. We were made the way we were made perfectly. We got what we need here. But it's about what we put to sustain what we need. We're supposed to be eating to live instead of, you know, we kind of eating as a sport. And don't get me wrong, we do it. We love food. That's our thing. But I feel like at some point, somebody has found a weakness in us.
Absolutely.
Because if you feeding all of this into our food and you put it on shelves and we buying it, and we steady, you know, taking it in, and I'm starting to see all, you know, more and more people agitated, moody. You know, we're not feeding our bodies, and we're just not feeding our brains. It comes, you know, environmental stresses. Everybody overworked. Everybody tired. Everybody, you know, at each other. Road rage. Look at road rage. Look how far road rage is going. Because, everybody's upset about driving, and everybody want to get home. You know, we're stressed out. We're overworked. You know, a lot of people feel you're underpaid, whatever. You got everyday life stressors that also take a part. So we got a lot of mental health issues going out here. We got kids, you know, that can't quite figure out how to deal with life. And because they can't figure out how to deal with life, that's driving them crazy. You know, they're doing things that's causing them to act out and making their problems in life worse than what they had to be. You know, when if you had to take this, we all have to learn this life being an experience. But it's certain things that, you know, you learn after those mistakes, and you know.
You gotta put them headphones in.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Reason, because it's hitting the mic.
But I just, like I said, it's a huge issue, and
Right.
I think we need to take a look at everything we can look at, from the food to the medicines. Because you talked about the doctors. I went to school for nutrition also, and I'm a holistic person. I believe in doctors, but one thing I've learned about what we're getting from these man-made medicines
Right.
is that it might fix a certain problem,
Right.
but it's going to cause another
That's
problem.
why they have in those. If you ever look at the commercials, they'll have side effects will be impotency, and you like, yeah, but I got a headache. I need this headache. Exactly. And then the other part about with the medications, my boy found out he was epileptic in his 30s,
Yes.
and he's like, Ken, the problem is I'm on the medication, but I cannot stop taking the medication, and I can go up in my dosage, but now I'm kind of like maxed out on my dosage. So
where do you go from there?
And where do you go from there? And then what happens if my insurance cuts me off? I can't afford to pay $600 a month out of my pocket for one medication.
No.
And this is the other thing. I like what you say. I remember years ago when I saw the movie Sicko by Michael Moore. If you haven't seen it, see it, and it'll take everything in you not to want to move, because other countries take care of the people so much better than we do here. And the one thing that you don't want to have, unless you have this is the tricky part. If you work for, let's say, a Fortune 500 company, and they have insurance, you can get insurance because they have a situation set up with the insurance companies where they're gonna take on everybody. But let's say you're not with a company of that magnitude, and you have what they call a pre-existing condition.
Oh yeah.
Some of these insurance companies won't cover you because they already think you already have an issue that's been documented. And now this is the reason why you have people. I used to work in a shelter. And let me tell you something about most homeless people. 75 to 80% of them are people with some sort of mental illness or disability.
Absolutely.
And the reason that they're on the street most of the time is because they lost their jobs.
Can't afford their meds.
They can't afford their meds, and they think, well, if I can't afford my meds and I can't afford to live, I'm out here spiraling out of control.
That's the trickle down effect.
And this is the trickle down effect.
Trickle-down effect.
And then you have a family who said, okay, that's my cousin or that's my brother, but we can't handle him because he's not medicating himself.
We can't make him take his meds.
And we can't force him to take his meds. And he spazzes out at the drop of a dime, and we can't control it. I have children here, so we can have him at the house. So now you have people who have no place to go that are in these shelters simply because they can't get the medication. They can't afford the medication that they need to sustain their life.
That's right.
This is where the money comes in, and you wonder why America's supposed to be the wealthiest country in the world, or well, it was once upon a time. But you can't, you complain about people saying, look, I can't afford my medicine. Well, it's not my fault you can't afford it. Well, what if the situation was reversed? And remember when the stock market crashed and people jumping out of buildings, and with the housing market crash and people losing 4 or 5 houses
or setting
them on fire. All of a sudden, the people that was the haves became the have-nots, and the world is a whole lot different when you look at from this perspective. When you look at upward instead of looking downward.
Absolutely.
So, let me go back to my friend, because he. The reason that I wanted to do the show. And he was telling me during our conversation, he said, Ken, I had to, even though I stopped drinking and I stopped smoking, and basically I had to learn why I was so stuck in that situation for so long. So he went to get counseling to deal with the mental side of things. So he's learning now, after being married for years, who his wife really is. His wife is learning now who he really is. His son is learning now who his father is, and he's learning more about who his son is.
Yeah.
So these are the things that people don't take into consideration.
Right.
Now, he made a decision on his own to change his life. But some people don't get a chance to make that decision before it's made for them.
Oh, yeah,
right.
absolutely.
You know, I've dealt with mental illness in my own family personally. And the thing that's frustrating, even with the probably more frustrating on our end from the outside looking in, is when people have a diagnosis, but they don't want to accept it.
Oh,
That's right.
man. It's hard.
It's hard.
It's one thing. It's something that everybody who's here has touched on, and I'm really glad that this conversation is happening because, you know, I can only speak as a man because I'm a man, and in that, men don't talk about this.
Right.
We don't talk about our trauma. Trauma is the leading cause of our suffering. Trauma. And if you haven't been introduced to trauma-informed care, I suggest you take a class if you can get in one, because by far it's one of the most eye-opening things out there. You understand how much trauma that we've endured to make the way we are.
Right.
Now, as the lady said next to me about the chemical imbalance, either you got too much or too little, trauma is something else.
Right.
Yes.
Trauma is something else, man, that causes so many changes in your brain chemistry.
Right.
Now, I can talk about this where I suffered sexual abuse as a young boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did I know about it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about it? It
No.
was it's water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, you good?
Right.
No, I'm
No,
not good.
no.
No, we're not addressing it.
Right.
No, I probably need some counseling because
Right.
then when you go through these types of issues, right?
Yes.
You only grow up with it.
Right.
You don't grow out of it.
Right.
You grow up with it.
Right.
And honestly, when I had my son, mind you, I thought I was good. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. When my son was born, all my trauma
Came back.
came
Yes.
back.
Overprotective.
Literally, when I saw him come out, it was like, oh, can we cuss?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Literally. And I'd never been so afraid in my life. I never felt fear. Fear, like, what's fear?
Right.
Until I saw him, and everything came out at that moment, man.
Right.
Everything. All the work that I thought I did,
Right.
all the building up of my health, my mind, my body,
Yeah.
I crashed. Like, literally crashed, because I thought to myself, what am I getting him into?
Right.
What kind of world is he about to face? And am I gonna F him up?
Man.
Because of me, because of my childhood and the things that weren't addressed, the things that as parents now, if my son come to me, we're gonna get you some help and whatever that looks like.
Right.
But it's nothing that we can sweep up under the rug and not deal with, because then these kids become adults, and then we dealing with them in the street, in the schools, in the supermarkets, at work, when you got people coming and shooting random people just cause
That's
they
right.
had a bad day. Now, it's not just because he had a bad day that day. He's had a year of bad days.
Right. A
But
lifetime.
He's had a lifetime of bad days, and then one day,
He lost it.
that was it, right? So it's not just drugs and mental illness. It's domestic violence. It's
Yes.
it's
Yes.
sexual abuse.
Yes.
It's so many things that really the root is trauma.
But those are the things we don't
We don't
talk about
We're not
because
talking
we've
about
been,
it.
like you said earlier, Trisheana, what happens in this house
don't talk
stays
about
in
that.
this house.
Don't tell nobody about what happened to you.
You know, and if I can add to it,
Yeah, add.
Tamika, did I get it correct? You know, she mentioned earlier about, you know, the prescriptions, the doctors, the ways that they do things. I didn't mention earlier, I have 2 masters in psychology.
Oh wow. Okay.
From the life that I grew, you know, that was the path that I took. But if you go into any doctor's office, I don't care which doctor it is, you can go to your OBGYN, you can go to your regular PCP, you can go to a neurologist. You gonna see a pharmaceutical rep in there at some point.
Oh yeah.
Drug dealers, baby.
And you mentioned
And they're
your
gonna be
friend.
dropping samples off. Here, take a sample
Take
of
a
that.
sample. You mentioned your friend, you know, they put him on that medication for seizures.
Right.
Well, yeah, as you know, I have a brain injury.
Right.
So, you know, I've obviously been on medication. They told me I was having seizures. I wasn't having any seizures. But those medications, the withdrawal, you might as well be on crack.
Exactly.
You might as well be on crack, because the withdrawal of those things, it's like having electric shocks going through your entire body. And then as soon as the patent runs out, they produce a new drug so they can tell you, well, this one doesn't do that.
Right.
Go ahead and take this medication.
We don't prescribe that anymore.
No.
She was mentioning like what goes on with our kids and this, that, and the other.
Right.
They're starting with our kids when our kids are in kindergarten, when they're in first grade, when they're just getting started out.
They
So
label them early.
So instead of that, they're putting them on a medication.
Right.
They're putting them on a pill form of cocaine.
Oh, really?
So the next thing,
Oh, yeah.
so the next thing you know, they're going through that same process, one after the other after the other. I mentioned earlier that I had septic shock. What they don't talk about, septic shock comes from antibiotic resistance. So, you know, after I had the surgeries in 2016, I kept getting sick, and they're practicing medicine. They don't know what's causing it, unless they do some kind of exploratory surgery. So they're pumping me with antibiotics. To the next thing I know, there isn't a single antibiotic that works, and I'm dying. My daughter's coming in, and I'm unresponsive.
Right.
You know, I'm slipping into a coma. And it's the same thing whether we're talking about mental health medications, whether we're talking about antibiotics for our health and the rest of that. You know, my boy mentioned trauma. You know, we've got all these veterans. They come home. And my dad's in the military. I've dealt with the VA in previous positions, getting them to handle anything they're supposed to handle. It's next to impossible.
Oh, yeah, VA kill you.
So when you add trauma to any other kind of illness, nobody taught a lot of us going way back, because I know I'm in my 40s. I think everybody in here is in our 40s. This is how you really deal with trauma. These are your coping mechanisms. This is how you talk to yourself. Now, in the new age, we have all the self-help books. Tell yourself, I am this. Tell yourself, I am that.
You're not sick, it's mentally.
None of the rest
it's all
of us.
mental.
No, we came up with, go take your ass a nap.
Right. Go take it, go boo-boo. You'll feel better when
Lay
you
it on
boo-boo.
down, and it'll be okay.
Right.
But we aren't taught how to work through trauma. We're not taught medically how to ask questions.
Right.
And when we do ask questions, and this is just my experience, I can't speak for nobody else. When you in the ER and you asking questions, and you black, they call security.
See.
I've had security called on me like 3 times in the ER because I'm like, look, you can't give me that. I'm allergic to it.
Right.
Well, you know what you're talking about. You know, I'm a nurse. I went to nursing school. I got 3 masters. Okay. So it all adds up together.
And that goes back to what I was saying about people that look like us don't usually have people that look like us that we can ask the question to.
Exactly.
And they don't understand the pattern is probably
She done said
storming
too
or
much.
something like that.
I'm about to tell the secret.
Y'all,
We
please.
have said America business probably too many times.
Empower box.
Empower box. He's
I'm
stupid.
done. Yo, I got 5 on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a storm outside.
It was sprinkling when I came up here.
Yeah, it was starting to
Come on,
hit him.
just like that.
Yo, Ken, we're gonna have to do a part 2.
Look, we still on, I think, because I see dark.
We still live right now. They can't see us.
But we,
Wait. Let me turn the light off. Let me see if I can turn my light on.
Hold on. Everybody put their flashlight on.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on now.
One thought of better.
Yeah, we doing it the other way. See? Yeah. Okay.
One thought of better.
See.
We still working?
We still on live. We Facebook Live. They can't shut the live down.
Yay.
Not like that.
Well, we still together
We
then.
still together.
You got a little power outage.
We have a power outage, but it's not stopping the power that's in this room. We gonna make sure that
It's
it continues
it's
to move and do what it do. I'm turning. We all got light on up in here.
Everybody got that
We
light.
all got light on up in here. Just put y'all light on like that so we can look spooky. But this song is gonna make it work. Yeah, Brandon say he's speaking too much power to the power out.
That's what I'm here for. I'm not here. Hey, I sell truth, not dreams.
Hey, this is what we saying. We don't need this headphone right now neither, cause it's all good over here. Let me tell y'all something. The reason that I try to do the shows that I do is because there's so many negative things that we can talk about and discuss all the time. But because people will jump on something negative way faster
Absolutely.
than they will jump on something positive. And my whole thing is I'm about my community. Like I'm one of the biggest supporters about things going on in the community and around the community. And like I don't say that to say you need to recognize me, because I know people know who I am because I come out and I do what I do. I want to thank everybody for jumping on. If y'all think it's Halloween, it's not Halloween. I'm telling y'all right now, we just had a power outage at the store. But we still in here and we Facebook Live, and we ain't stopping this show until we done. Well, we might cut out early, but that's okay. But we still here. We still talking mental and physical health. We talking about how it affects us personally, how it affects us in our family and in our community. I want to come back over here. I want to go to Shogun real quick, though. I'm going to turn this around, bring it to him. Exactly. All right. You look kind of good in this light. I'm not going to even lie. Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate you. Now, Shogun. Now, what is it like for someone like yourself who is out there dealing with the people on a basis that I don't, in a fashion that I don't, because I know you have people that you deal with, and some have accepted the fate and they want to get the help and they're trying to do the right thing, but the system is putting these roadblocks in place for them to make it hard for them to do it. So I know some of them are coming to you like, I'm trying to just get some help, but the people who's supposed to help me telling me they won't help me because I made 8 cents more this month than I could last month, so they won't give me the assistance that I need. How is that? How does it work for you when you're dealing with people in that manner?
Well, being that I'm a certified recovery support specialist, I keep saying that because, the whole role and the position and the certification I was gratefully able to obtain put me in a position to not only learn about my own mental health issues on a level that I was educated on,
right,
but it also helped me advocate for myself in a system that is broken. I remember going to we call it the vacation homes, man, which is, St. Luke's, you got
right.
Thunderbird, UPC now, where I was in there. They put me in and had me on hold for 7 days where I couldn't leave. And they wanted to diagnose me with everything. But what they weren't doing is they weren't listening to me.
Right.
Right? They weren't listening to the things that I was saying. They were just telling me what I was about. Here, take these drugs, and then here you go. So my whole campaign, as I call it, is just being in a position to get people to advocate themselves, advocate for your health care, man. Have a voice. Have a voice, because you are the expert of you.
Right.
That nurse or that doctor is not the expert
of
who you are.
You better pull a Kawhi and say, I'm still injured. I ain't playing right now.
I mean, if you don't, then what happens is the stigma then takes over. Then you become exactly what they call you versus what you know what's going on with yourself.
Right.
Now, are there people that are truly diagnosed with stuff? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's true, real diagnoses out there. And, hey, but there's also a lump of us, man, that have been misdiagnosed over and over again, time and time again. First of all, if you're high on drugs, you shouldn't be diagnosed. No, you need to be. You have to go through a detox. You have to be detoxed in order to even come to that point of and even then, you still gotta wait because you don't know what's truly affected the person. The psychosis.
And you need to understand your diagnosis. It's your job to understand your diagnosis.
If somebody tells you, say, hey, well, we diagnosed you with being bipolar. Okay, well, what does that mean? And they give you some literature. They hand you some papers and say, here you go. This is what it means. Okay, well, what does that mean, though? And how does being bipolar truly affect who I am in my daily life? Because not everybody truly understands that. So once again, you have to be in a position to where you're constantly
are willing to advocate for yourself. And if you've
Yes.
never been a person that's advocate for yourself, then it's even much more harder for you.
Right.
So you got, listen, man, 1 out of 4 people, man, have a mental illness. And there's what, 4 of us in here right now.
Right.
So
And
who
all
else?
and it's we in the quattro right now.
Right.
You're right. And everybody's dealing with it. So either
Right.
you are dealing with it internally or you're dealing with the person next to you, right?
Yep.
Right.
And so once again, it's about advocating for yourself, man. Be in a position where you're talking to the doctors, man, that you're reaching out and understanding, well, why am I taking this? Because like we heard earlier, just because the medication is there to treat you, the medication has so many side effects that cause more damage to you than what you was dealing with.
Exactly.
I might just want to talk to myself
Right.
versus getting something that's burning and eating on this insides
Right.
of me, or it's going to cause me tremors. Like I took some stuff back in the day. I still get tremors to this day.
Wow.
And just weaning yourself off
Yes.
that, you can wean yourself off of heroin quicker than you can
Right.
Seroquel or
Man.
lithium.
Affects her.
Oh, come on now. Come on, we can go down the list of these psychotropics, man, because once you get off of it, and they're built like that, once you get off of it, man, the tapering of it, man, is by far the hardest thing.
And they're built just so when it runs out, you get right on to the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they get you on the next one.
Yeah.
Because the price goes up.
Oh,
Right.
That's where I'm
So
coming
when it
from
runs
when I
out, the
say-
price goes up, your insurance won't cover it. You know,
Yeah.
I live at Target Pharmacy and I stand behind women. It's usually women, but you know, they're 85 years old on Medicaid. They got nothing, you know. They're bringing in $900 a month, and I listen as the pharmacist tells them, so that prescription that you need to keep you alive
Yeah, alive.
is $280 for 1 month,
Mm-hmm.
And
and I watch their hearts sink.
Right.
And the pharmacist, like, you know, the pharmacist got the look on their face like, there's nothing else I can tell you. There's nothing else I can do for you, and nobody shows them any other way.
Right.
Nobody shows them, like she said, the naturopathic way.
Mhm.
No, we don't go back to when we had the
And that's what
herbs.
we gotta come
We
back
knew what
to.
helped us this
We
way
have
and that
to.
way. Essential
have
oils,
to.
whatever it is that you could be taking naturally that doesn't cost you $280 to fix yourself.
And that's exactly, you know, where I think we need to come back to the root of the problem and how to fix it. And I personally don't believe it's medicine. I don't. Looking for what I went through when I talked to you about my mom. My mom's still out there homeless right now. Honestly, I don't even know where she is.
Wow.
She went off her medication because she didn't like what was happening to her. And when she went off that medication, that's kind of when they kind of just throw you away. You know, she had to take that medicine in order to receive her disability, which she worked for her whole
with your
life.
program. Yeah.
So she's not getting disability or medicated,
Wow.
and it's nothing I can do. I watched pretty much her lose everything. My mother
Yeah.
was a very hard-working woman. I watched her lose all property, everything, because I couldn't take over because she was still alive.
Right.
So the fact that she had a mental illness and is deemed to have to be medicated and can't make decisions for herself, but yet now you want to require her to make the decisions when it came to her property and money and things that, you know, she should have been entitled to and I should have been
Yes,
able
ma'am.
to help her with as her daughter.
Right.
So that's also telling us that, once again, nobody cares.
Right.
So, and this is why I bring it back to, and I say we need to go back to taking care of ourselves.
That's right.
I looked at one thing, you know, you guys were into Nipsey Hussle when he passed away, and I looked at his mother, and the things that she said out of her mouth during his funeral, they resonated with me because she said we need to go back to, she said, a vegan lifestyle. Now, and I know, you know, as us as a culture, you say vegan, everybody like, oh no, we don't, but whether it doesn't have to be vegan, but it needs to be something different than what you're doing on a
consciousness
regular
of what
basis.
you're putting in your
If
body.
you know exactly that you're being affected, if you know you're not feeling good, you know something's not right, because you're aware. I'm fully aware. I can tell when something's not right in my body. Listen to it. And that's where you have to go through a process of elimination. You know, like I said, when you got alcohol, you got drugs, you got poisonous foods, you got trauma, as you say, you know, you have so many things that contribute to our mental health.
Yeah.
So going back there with that, and I'm just going to tell you, you guys, you know, like I said, I'm very open-minded, and I think we need to be open-minded as people as well. I used to work for the state of Arizona. I dealt with the medical. And there are loopholes and ways when it comes to mental illness. It's only probably when it's a mental illness or a sickness that you can die from, that you can actually get medical if you've been denied so many times because you have this mental illness and you're incurring all these bills and can't be paid, and they'll reach out and help you. There are ways, but like you said, you have to have a voice because nobody tells us anything. We have to dig for everything. We have to search for everything. We have to look for everything. So having a voice, asking questions, speaking up, and you never know who you sitting next to, who you're around, who can help you. So you can't, this day and age, looking at what we have a high suicide teen rate.
Yes,
and we have a high suicide teen rate because kids are not reaching out for help.
Right.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
And we've desensitized our kids so much.
Yes.
That the stuff that they're watching on YouTube, the stuff that they're seeing on TV, the stuff they're seeing at home, whatever it may be.
And they're worried about being
like
judged.
My daughter, in her high school, she had a young man overdose on heroin this year at the school. We go to her bonfire. There's kids overdosing at the bonfire where everybody's present.
Children.
But the kids are so desensitized to everything that's going on.
And they're numbing themselves these days
that
too.
It doesn't even matter because we haven't, I don't think many of us learned how to push through pain. I just did a video on this just a few days ago because you have every kind of pain you can think of. You've got mental pain, you've got physical pain, you've got emotional pain, all of that.
Yes.
And there's so many different ways that you numb it. You can do drugs. You can smoke weed. You can do
over
alcohol.
exercise.
You can over exercise. You got your gym rats. You have all of that. But, it's all about numbing that pain. But you can numb the pain and you can push through the pain.
Yes.
And that's two very different things because your five senses were put in your body by your creator, whichever creator you believe in, to tell you something. It's an alarm. It's telling you something. So when you're numbing those five senses that are trying to tell you, hey, what's going on, you'll miss something. And that's how people end up dead. That's why you end up with an aneurysm that ruptured because you were so numb to everything going on. Or you got the suicide stuff going on. And we've talked about like the psychotropic drugs that they put you on, the antidepressants and things like that. And I mentioned it. I've suffered from depression, PTSD from the age of 8. I cannot take any of them. Why? That side effect, they shut up the voice of reason.
Yes.
That little voice of reason that says, hey, sis.
Amen.
Yes.
What's going on right now with you that's not normal? She stopped talking. But they don't tell you that.
Right.
No.
And that's what I want to touch here more than anything because we've mentioned that a few times. And I'm just going to tell you, just telling y'all a little bit of my life. But coming from molestation, from rape, from homeless, from no mother, dead brother, dead child, the things that I've had to overcome and do in my life.
Yes, ma'am.
And I didn't do it medicated. I did it, and I will tell you, I seek ye first in all things. We talk about what we're taught as young people, and the word religion came up a lot here today. Well, I'm going to say one thing. I believe in spirituality. There are religions, but I believe in spirituality. And one thing I've always had from the time I was young, and my grandmother, Captain Bufford, took me to church every single day with her 7 days a week, and I never couldn't even understand why I was there. But once I grew old and I knew I had that seed planted in me, I had that foundation.
And that seed don't leave.
And it does not. And you talking about a young woman out here and having to go through everything that I went through, and yet I still had children and I had to still be a mom, and that was my biggest priority. And I had to push past the molestation. I had to push past the rape. I had to push past the deaths. I had to push past all of that. And I had, like you said, I had to survive. I had to survive, but I did that. I personally had a relationship with God, and I did that. And I can tell you, from going through the things, that I went through, I personally don't believe that if I didn't have that spiritual foundation, I don't know where I would be.
That's right.
I don't know where I would be, and I still question on a regular basis because I'm at this age, and like I said, I just believe in us, and I believe in us as a people. I believe in being of service as much to each other as we possibly can, and that's not something that happens out here often.
And if we could teach our young people that,
and yes, we need that foundation. You need that spiritual foundation.
What is it like as a teacher dealing with children who are dealing with trauma that they're coming into the classroom with, that you have to deal with and try to guide them and keep them level-headed enough to give them the lesson that they're supposed to learn, while also dealing with their own needs that come along with that.
It is a blessing, and it is work. It's a work for me. It's a blessing to be able to have a privilege to be able to serve them and help them. That's the blessing in it for me. The hard part was seeing and hearing all the traumatic things and the medication, and looking at the medicated kids that look like zombies.
Yes.
And and we got to keep on doing it. It's so much politics when it comes to education.
Absolutely.
So there's only so many things you can do. And we talked about reaching out onto reaching out for help, and then you end up in CPS.
Yes.
That was never a goal of mine. But as mandated and having to, if I saw that situation, I had to.
You
But
don't have a choice.
for me, what I tried to be for those kids, I tried to be an outlet for them. I tried to be a person that they could talk to. I shared my stories with them, because for me, that helped me to heal. It also let me know what my purpose was, why maybe I had to go through some of these things to get to the point where I am right now today, and the people that I can help. So working with kids, for me, it was therapeutic for me, but I tried to also be therapeutic for them. Unfortunately, being in the school system now, it seems like our focus is on so much more than education, because we are dealing with so much trauma. We are, and I always say it's still a business at the end of the day.
Yes.
So before I reach out, and I'm gonna be honest, before I reach out, and I've worked with CPS too. I've contracted and dealt with supervised foster care kids, with meeting their parents, and I've seen so many things in life. Best thing I can do is share those experiences, because, like they say, life is the best teacher. But for me, I have to, like I said, I have to see God in all things that I do. When I go to work, I'm working for God. I'm not working for anybody else. So I'm not going to put blinders on, and I'm not going to set myself up or anyone else up to see them hurt.
Right.
I found myself many times going above and beyond to try to do some things that maybe I shouldn't have done. But it's because of me, and as being a person and having a conscience, that I don't care what government, I don't care what politics, I don't care what's involved. I'm going to do what I know is right. And before I call that CPS line, and I have to also think about in my head, more options, because again, this is a business.
All day.
CPS make money off every single child they get, as well as the education system, as well as the prison system. Everybody's making money off our heads.
Everybody gets a percentage
while we suffering. So as me just being a person, and just like I said, having that spirituality and having a God mindset, I think you go into things a lot more open-minded, a lot more loving, and a lot more caring. And for me, that's what I've done with my students. I've tried to love them and give them as best as I could what they weren't getting, being an outlet for them to talk to, and trying to help them figure out what paths they want to go. But letting them know, it's somebody here for you. Even if I have to go above and beyond, that's what I'm gonna do.
And I think if I can add to what she said here, because I have a young lady that's she's going to be in 4th grade this year, but I volunteered in her classroom like 10 times a year for like the first 3 years that she was in school. And so I've seen a lot of it. I've seen kids that couldn't, they were licking their shoelaces in class. Sisters, young sisters, I'll never forget them, that came in, couldn't read. I don't know anything about their mother. I know their mother moved them around so much that I was volunteering, sitting in the back of the classroom, trying to help them get their word structure together, their sentence structure together, and all of those things. And it's just like you said, you have a God mindset, and you mentioned that. And for a long time, I'll admit that what my grandmother planted in me, I wasn't hearing, because I kept cutting my head open. I wasn't hearing nothing. But once those seeds are planted, they take a little while to grow sometimes, or sometimes the plant dies, and then a little more water, a little more fertilizer, it comes back. These kids that we're bringing up, your son, my daughters, you know what I'm saying, the kids that you're working with, none of us know what they're seeing outside of it, like in your profession. So if we're not walking and we're not being that person they can look to that says, you know what, this person cares if I can read.
Right.
This person cares that, there was one young lady in my daughter's class, I've never forgot her. She had behavioral issues. I don't know why she had her behavioral issues, but, she would overreact emotionally to just about everything. But I always worked with her. I always showed her love. And I'll never forget it. My daughter was a first grader. And that day the assignment was, who is your hero? And she said, my hero is Miss Trish. Divya's mom. And to this day, that young lady, she struggles to make friends. And my daughter just brought it up the other day, she still struggles to make friends, Mommy, and I'm trying to be her friend. And both my girls are like that.
And those are the moments to let you know, what you're doing
You
or what you're striving to do is working.
So wherever you go, you got to be that person.
And kids be too honest sometimes. You got.
Man.
So how was
They're
it?
not filtered.
Man.
Tell it all.
They man, I had, I used to coach basketball, and I had all the kids on my team, and I'm like, man, what's going on? How you doing? And how was your day? And what's going on? Well, my mother, she didn't have money to get my glasses fixed because she needed the money to pay for rent, and then we had to get our lights turned off, and then and I'm just like, I was just saying, how was your, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But kids, if they trust you,
They'll tell you.
they will tell you everything that's going on in their life.
Yes.
And I still have a relationship with these children. They're grown-ups now. They're 21 plus, but it's crazy how you don't realize the effect that you have on somebody until years later when they see you and they go, man, they call me coach still. I'm like, man, you don't have to do that, but it's the respect. Go ahead.
It was something that you touched on. I also worked for CPS for a while, and over the time, because everything's about business, right? There's a cat told me one time. He said, "Man, we'll look at a kid like a pie chart." I'm like, "What?" He said, "It's a pie chart." And everybody, you take that one kid, just said that one adult in the system. Everybody's in the system. Sometimes they're a kid, they end up being an adult in the same system, right?
Right.
But you look at them as a pie chart. Everybody's taking a piece of that pie. Everybody's getting something off of that person. But the person themselves, what are they getting, right?
Right.
Because they're taking this part off, right? Because the foster people gonna get paid, jail's gonna get paid,
They gonna get paid.
probation gonna get paid,
Probation, definitely.
access gonna get paid. Everybody's gonna get their dollar, right? And now I've lived off of individuals with dysfunction. I'm dysfunction. So I've lived in this industry. I've lived off of it. I get paychecks because people have dysfunction, right? But you take that person, everybody's taking a portion, right? They come to me, right, for peer support. Well, gotta charge you for a couple of hours. That's a piece of that, right? Okay. Now you gotta go in there, and since your insurance doesn't cover this part, your copay is this.
There's that chunk.
That's another piece. Well, how did you get here? Oh, you can't afford transportation.
We'll set that up for you.
There's a piece. There's a piece of that person constantly being taken, but we're not. The system is not built to make them whole.
It's built to destroy them.
It's really built to take
make them
take
fail.
Keep them in the same. They want to keep them right where they at.
Take a piece. Now there are individuals, man. Obviously, we're sitting amongst them that have been able to go through this system, whether in and or out of it, and then made something of themselves by the choices, right?
Right.
The support systems in which they have, and we call it blessed, lucky, fortunate. We're here.
Right.
And you spoke about purpose. We have a lot of potential, man. People die with potential. But to understand your purpose within this is everything, because we should be purposed to be stewards.
Yes.
Right? Once you have an understanding of something, then I have a responsibility. So it's not that I'm just getting paid. Because I get paid. I got paid.
Right.
But I have a responsibility to evoke something in you that's hopefully going to change your life.
Right.
Right.
When them kids come up to you, calm, man, and like, hey, man, coach, and they divulge and regurgitate.
Right.
Because they've been swallowing. They looking for somewhere to. You ever see somebody when they got to go and they looking for somewhere to put it at? Right. And they found you. They found you. They found me. They found you. That's so important to be able to be that sound ear for somebody to maybe tell you that one day, like, you know what, man? I don't want to be here.
Shogun, if somebody wants to get the help, what's the steps they need to take?
First step is, I need help.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's enough.
And being okay with the fact that you
Yeah.
need help.
Because
Right.
if you're not there, and I'm speaking to the men, I also speak to the women, but I'm gonna speak to these men.
Right.
I've been through this. Tell somebody you need help, man. Ain't nothing wrong with crying either,
Yes.
man. Cry it
Man.
out.
Yes.
Cry it out. Call up somebody that you know that loves you and that you can trust, because crying ain't about being no punk.
Right.
Being a punk is somebody that the hardest cat out there. That's the cat you need to watch out for.
Right.
The cat that's not crying is the dangerous person.
Mhm.
He ain't crying. There's no. Where's your emotion? Where's your feeling at?
Yes.
But if you can cry, you can reach out to somebody that you trust and that you love and that you feel that can support, because you can't trust everybody with your stuff. You ain't supposed to tell everybody everything. You got to find that person. Sometimes a stranger might be the best person at one time or another. But first step is to say, man, I need some help. That might not even give you all the answers at the time,
Right.
but I need some help.
Right.
I need some help. From there, seek professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's whether they're in the church, synagogue, the mosque,
Right.
wherever they're at, seek professionals that have a conscious understanding. They understand compassion and empathy. Because when you're disconnected, which there's been a lot of doctors, a lot of people that we face that are so disconnected from their craft, you don't get that.
That's right.
Right? You just become a part of the pie chart.
Right.
Seek professionals, man, that have compassion and empathy, man, for what you're suffering with. And that's a start in itself, man. It's really a start in itself.
And I would like to add to what you said there. You definitely said it right. You got to ask for help. But the first thing you have to do before you ask for help, in my opinion, is you got to first be okay with not being okay.
Right.
I'm worried about
So
judgment.
many of us spend so much time trying to act like everything's fine. I got it together. It's good. I'm cool. You have to give yourself permission to not be okay.
Yes.
You got to be willing to finally stop pretending
Yes.
that everything is not okay. Because when you're trying to hold everything up that's being thrown at you, and we've talked a lot about kids, but we got grown folks that are getting thrown stuff at them every single day, trying to hold it all together and tell everybody around them it's okay. They're telling themselves it's okay, but they're crying themselves to sleep at night, or they're trying to figure out, well, if I just off myself, this and this. You've got to give yourself permission not to be okay. To say, you know what? No, I can't do this for you right now. No, I can't be there for you right now.
Yes.
You gotta get to a point where you're okay with not being okay, and you have to learn how to be there for yourself, and then say, okay, I need help. Because if you can't learn to love and be there for yourself, your help's not gonna do you any good. And just like he said, you can't trust everybody. So if you gonna interview your mate, I'll put it that way. When you dating, you interview your mate. You look at their credentials, what they bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? Is this person suitable to be in my life, to be in my children's life, to give me what I need?
And they build you up and not break you down.
When you look for that help, whether it be in your church, in your mosque, in your synagogue, you know what I'm saying, in your Buddhist temple, or if it's a counselor, you evaluating them just like you evaluate your mate. You're not going to just go, you can call your health provider right now, and they'll give you a list of 10 counselors you can call. You don't know nothing about them people. They might be snorting coke when you leave.
Right.
Theodore Bartholomew.
But, you have to do those two things. And then you got to take the step. If that person's not right, if you walk in, you talked a little about what you've been through. If you've been in his situation, childhood molestation, whatever, right? And you walk into the counselor's office and you feel like you in there with your molester, I don't care what their position is, what degree they got. It's time for you to move on. You got to go.
It's
Yes, you have to. Those are some very important issues in itself, right there. And that's I don't know how we're gonna fix it, but we need to. The trust issue and the judgment issue. Us appearing to be something that we're not. Like I said, with me dealing with everything that I've dealt with, I had to learn to myself self-preservation, because I was always giving and giving and giving, and nothing was being put back in. So I had to stop, and I had to take time for myself. And it's funny. They used to say mental health. We used to say mental health days. We work for the state. We that's right. But it's real.
Right.
We all need mental health days. We all need time off. We all need it. Like I said, go back to Spain. They stop in the middle of the day and they call it what, siesta. They play music. Everybody go home, take a nap. Oh God, they loving their people. And we're not gonna get it, so we're not getting that. So we gotta take it. However you can take it, you got to take it. You got to think about yourself. You can be nothing to anyone else if
you got to be something.
You're an empty cup.
Yes.
What you gonna do?
Hurt people. It's a cycle.
That's right.
We talk about these kids, and we got to talk about the parents. We looking, and that's why you say you have CPS that come into play. Unfortunately, it wasn't my fault that my mother, went mentally ill. Right. CPS could have came into play with that. She was a hardworking woman. It happened. She worked herself to death, and she didn't have outlets, and she didn't take time off. She was a workaholic. And so you have CPS come in, and instead of them trying to help you or try to put the family back together or offer you things that can put the family back together, they're going to try to tear you apart.
That's right.
And that's what we need to get rid of in our communities.
Can I ask you something? I didn't mean to cut you off. Was there ever any fear that you dealt with because you saw what your mother went through, that this might be an hereditary thing, that it might affect you?
Yes. Yes. And yes and no. I can say yes, the thought occurred, and I can say I went back to my spirituality and my spirituality saying, don't be fearful of anything. And I had to block that out of my mind. I had to block that out of my mind, because I was not going to live every day worried if I was gone.
Right.
But I'm conscious that it does exist in my family, and it doesn't just exist on my mother's side.
Oh, okay.
I look into my children. I look into myself, and me being conscious of this, I try. That's why I say I have to take time myself and stop. And I have to build myself back up. You said something about, you were told if you speak tongues to the devil, he'll flee. Another horrible thing out here is the perception that we're getting about so many things, so many half truths, and that also hinders us, because then we become, when we're told something wrong or someone uses something and exploits it to us, we shut it out. We move back away from it. I've always told that you speak tongues to yourself to build yourself up. It gives you that life. That's how my pastor taught us. So I had never heard anything like that, and I sympathize with you.
And
as
I
a
don't
child.
heard it the once. Absolutely.
Right. I, as a child, and someone telling you that, and and you being 5, and it's what, we have to all remember that we're all humans. We're all humans. Nobody's out here perfect. So yes, we do have false people. We do have false prophets. We do have people who use things and exploit, use things, our trauma, and then try to exploit it. Will prey on us all type of ways. We've seen it. We need to go back 400 years ago. We've always been exploited. So what we have to do, I think we need to, like I said, we gotta start finding things within ourselves, because I just don't see anyone else trying to do anything for us. And that's where it goes back to us becoming some type of community. I was watching a YouTube, Taraji P. Henson. She's stepping out, and she's speaking on mental health.
Her father is incredible.
Yes, and and I wish more, we talk about responsibility, and we talk about who's responsible and a moral responsibility. And if we all thought like this, we got billionaires out here. We can only do so much from this level. We can do something. We can still do things, but they can do more.
I was tripping out. They I was sitting with my mind. We was chopping it up, and hot dog eating contest was up. And I'm looking at. I mean, obviously I've seen this before, but just within that moment, I'm like, the shit that America promotes.
Yes.
Right.
We're gonna promote you to hurt yourself.
Yes.
Make yourself
sick by overeating some goddamn hot dogs. And we're going to reward you, give you thousands of dollars. Right now, that's just one part of it. Reality TV has come in. I can't stand Atlanta Housewives.
Yeah.
hip hop.
I had to
No,
start watching all
I
of it.
despise.
Especially they supposed to be people with money and they acting like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
despise what we're putting out there. The image and the women, the men. It's sick. We promote sickness.
Yes.
We reward people in a whole different way. Instead of putting those dollars into play to help people be whole, we're putting that money into play to destroy and be destructive
For
of
our own entertainment.
our own entertainment, man. And we look, right?
Yeah.
right.
Here we are, right? So I trip off this system because once again, that person that's on TV, they're a piece of a pie. They're a pie chart. That's what I look at them. Commercial time. They gotta get their part, right? Oh, what is he wearing? Some Gucci?
Yes.
You ain't got no house. How do you got Gucci?
Yes.
That's a portion of it, right? You ain't bought that car. So even with the financial part of being broke, that's a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mental health issue.
Talking
Spending
about
all
stress.
your money, blowing all your cash, living check to check. That's traumatizing. That creates a mental health issue. I mean, so it's constant things that we're bombarded with. So it ain't just somebody who just wakes up one day, or somebody just spent their whole life being PTSD or bipolar, or sometimes it's just those little things that add up. The organic part of it, the stressors. I got to get home. The road ragers that I was just trying to get home because I wanted my kids on their way. I wasn't tripping before I left. But the fact that you were in front of me, or you're not going fast enough.
The daycare charging me $15.
Come on,
I'm
man.
late.
Come on.
Yes.
So there's all these little stressors, man, that are going on that add up to this thing. It's like you collect pebbles, you're gonna build a mountain.
And retail therapy, where people feel like they need to go buy something because I feel good about myself if I go buy something, even though it's the worst day of my life. Matter of fact, I'm gonna max all my credit cards out.
That, and then that comes out a certain way. So we all of us are in this building, us in this room are over 40. So there's things that we understand, that we know what's right and wrong.
Right.
I just know that we do. Grandmama and them and them certain people, man. And I grew up in the church. I have opinions about it, but damn, I got a great foundation, which I started from, to understand morals and things that I know that keep the family and the culture together. And if the home ain't right, community ain't right.
That's right.
The home ain't right, community ain't right. So we're the parents now, right? And some of us have grandkids. I got people, mine got grandkids.
Grandkids.
So, and I'm like, well, dang, bro, you still doing the same shit. When our grandparents, you might have had a couple out there still on Buckeye Road or somewhere, doing their thing. But 9 times out of 10, grandparents and grandmama and them was running that house. And that's where you felt the most safety, right? So now we got these generations, and they're us now. I raise my hand. They're us now. That we are responsible. This Generation X, that I know, we helped create a culture, man, that is by far the most destructive culture. They talking about millennials. That's still strange to me. But we're talking about these young kids, the 20-year-olds, still kids to me.
Yes.
You got these kids, 14, 15 years old, down off of opioids and heroin. That was something unheard of. Heroin, it was grown men. Old people did that stuff. Now it's 14, 15 years old. And then let me just tie it in and I get off my soapbox, man. So I worked for an organization for a time, Methadone Clinic. And I'm going to speak on this because it's the realest thing. Our government serves free dope.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Free dope.
Get off one dope and get on ours.
Here's free dope. So once again, I take a piece of you, right? That is the biggest trap house around now, is methadone clinics. Now, mind you, they talk about harm reduction. Well, this is the next step. Well, then what's the next step after that? Cats, I knew that was on the heroin off that black tar, that real stuff.
Right.
I watched them sweat it out for a couple of days. You know, they was all right. Hey, sweat it out, get sick for a good 2-3 days, throw up on yourself. Look, they're good. No, now we're gonna put you on something that's even more potent. Well, this is gonna stop them from being out there. So you stop them being out there, then you just keep them in here. 24-hour day, they got methadone clinics open 24 hours a day.
It might be one across the street.
And come
Yeah.
on now, where are they
Where
putting
put
them?
and
Right
what
in the
it brings
hood.
to the community.
What's
might-
the difference between a trap house?
It
And
might
what's
be.
the difference between that and all the opioids? You know,
Yes.
okay, so you're not on heroin. Well, both Vicodin
Yes.
and oxidate, heroin in pill form anyway.
Yes. And now we got a new drug and being put into the drugs, amphetamine.
Oh, amphetamine.
Amphetamine.
Oh yeah.
And it's killing people.
Yeah.
It's killing
You
kids.
a couple of.
Are you talking about fentanyl?
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
Fentanyl,
Amphetamine,
yeah.
Sorry, fentanyl.
That was my ketamine.
Yeah.
But
Ketamine
a couple
ain't a
sprinkles
joke.
of that
Yeah.
will kill a person.
A
Yes.
dust particle will kill you.
Yes.
When I was living in Tucson, I lived off a street, and they just a provider had just moved in at the time, just where I was at. Mind you, where it was set up, you had a payday loan place here, you had a smoke shops here, liquor store here,
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky Fried Chicken here,
Mm-hmm.
22nd
pawn
and
shop
Craycroft.
here, right? And then
22nd and
right,
Craycroft.
go on, stop playing. Come on, man, stop
I'm sorry,
playing.
I'm from Tucson.
Come on, what else is up? Hey,
And
and
I've
then
known-
right around the corner,
At least I
there
I
was
can
the
tell you.
provider. There was the methadone clinic.
Yep. And
There was
that
the dope
neighborhood-
shop.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, set up to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Because what am I going to do? Well, I got to get high.
And then I gotta go to the
pawn
strip club right
yeah,
there.
in the strip
Club right here.
I'm going to go pawn something. I'm going to go to the smoke shop to get my pipes.
Yep. So a strip club, they got drugs there too.
Look, I'm going to go to the liquor store to get my drink.
Yep. Yep.
I'm hungry.
And it looks like
I'm not cooking good for myself, so here's the KFC.
Yep.
It's just,
Next to the Jack in the Box.
come on, man.
Yeah.
This is what,
And
what's
that's what it is.
I'm
That's-
sorry, I'm
that's what it
laughing
No,
is.
it's
because
real.
I mean,
I was
yeah,
born in
definitely.
Tucson, and I know people in Tucson because I mean I can't speak too much for here, right? But heroin in Tucson
It's real.
is real.
That's weed.
Like-
And weed is,
like,
that's like
Heroin out there,
everything.
you got people overdosing and overdosing, and I'll put it this way: I won't put nobody out there, but it's hit my own family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And it hurts, you know what I'm saying, to watch that. And people, people, well, we'll just stop. You can get clean. You know what? The people that I know that have gotten clean left Tucson. They
Yeah.
came up
Oh,
here.
yeah, you gotta move. You gotta
Because,
leave.
and you know, and you notice I knew exactly which corner you were talking about.
Oh,
And that exact neighborhood right there, it's been
Dang.
like that for 20, 30 years.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You go to the dope house here.
Yeah.
They had a strip club on this
And they
corner.
got a DPS. I mean, a DES is
Oh,
right there.
oh,
now.
right.
now,
So-
you
it's
gotta
right
look
there
into-
too.
you gotta
DPS
go to-
is
yeah,
connected
you
to a
gotta
strip
go
club.
Yeah, his DS is right there next to the strip club.
Connected to a strip club
Straight mall.
in that exact neighborhood.
So I say it again, set up for failure. Set up for failure.
And then
This
they'll
is what
tell
we
you
need to
it's your
understand.
fault.
Yes.
And
What
what's
makes you think
crazy,
it's
and
your
here's the
fault?
crazy part. So we've been talking about the veterans, right? How the veterans don't have what they need, how hard it is to get what they need from the VA, right?
Yes.
Well, they got lifetime access, right, to get on the base.
Lifetime.
The place we talking about is a half a mile from
Oh,
the
yeah.
main gate
It's right there.
of the Air Force base.
It's right there. Oh yeah, that's and they be there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's most of them be right there.
Right
Cause
there.
you got the track. They
Yep.
got the track there too. So yeah,
All
they
of it.
frequent the soldiers frequent that area as well. Mm-hmm.
Because
That's
they're not getting treated for their trauma, their mental illness, whatever happened in Afghanistan, whatever happened in
Yes.
Kuwait, in Iraq, and everything else. But I tell you what, we'll teach you, you know what, right here by the gate,
Yeah.
right here by the
$20
commissary,
over here.
we'll give you everything you need to self-medicate
Yes.
while you waiting on the VA to return your call.
It's real
And we
talk.
talking about how the drugs come in and how it all starts, how they get in, and we talk about the neighborhoods and the hood and everybody selling drugs, but how do they get in?
Oh,
Who saw the
we're not
latest
bringing it,
article?
man.
Anybody
I don't
saw
have
the
no
latest
plane.
article?
You got a plane?
Oh, was it
That's
the
amazing.
latest article about
Submarine?
Chase
I don't
wanna play.
boats
Oh yeah,
bringing them in through
cargo
the border?
ship.
But Chase is
Cocaine.
not directly affected. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
they're
not. They're a third party, so they don't really have nothing to do. But let's just be honest. You know,
Right.
it's coming across the water, so we know we're not bringing it in.
Everybody got that kind of
So, and it goes again to say, set up for failure.
Mhm.
And we just have to. And how can you think straight to even know it's a setup for failure? Because you got so many things going through your body anyway. So you're impaired. You can't think straight. So now what do we do? So now what do you do? Genocide.
Just this conversation alone, just even before the power went out, I was on the Wi-Fi, seeing everybody chime in. Just this conversation alone which needs to be a continued conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try to get this in at
many
least on a
times
monthly
we possibly-
basis.
Is that people then tune in, they listen, they reevaluate themselves.
Yes.
They
You
reevaluate
have
the
to.
people and the situations that they're in. And if there's one thing to be conscious, but we're trying to hit the unconscious.
Yes,
Right.
The Walking Dead right now.
Right.
Shit, I mean, fantasy or not, man. Zombie movies or something else. We got zombies walking around,
Yes.
dead, the Walking
Young
Dead,
ones.
and we're able to bring you into a consciousness to have a realization about yourself and what you're doing to yourself.
That's right.
So then you can ask for help, and then you can move forward. This is how we are the change agents that create change.
And they at least need to know that if ain't nobody else there, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else here, but I'm pretty sure they know who to contact.
Exactly.
They got 4 people in this room.
Always.
Matter of fact, let's go ahead and give out the contact. If they want to get at you, Trisheana, how can they do that?
The best way is going to be to go to Facebook at T Hunter Moving the Mountains. So it's T Hunter Moving the Mountains with an S, or Instagram moving_the_mountains with an S.
Give us a little bit of background on Moving the Mountains. How did you get that started, and what's the purpose of the organization?
You know, for me, Moving the Mountains started because after it was actually after brain surgery number 4.
Okay.
I was like, how am I going to keep this going? And remember I told you, Daddy was like, just put one foot in front of the other.
Right.
And when you have brain surgery, there's this idea that you can't do anything else. Like I have brain loss, severe brain loss, because of my brain been cut into 15 times. And I started hiking. And when I started hiking, I was like, look at this body that was created and what it can still do. And then I realized I was sitting here, I'm on South Mountain one day, and I was like, if I can climb the mountain, I can move it.
Woo!
Like I don't even care what it is. If I can climb the mountain, I can move it. I just got to take one step. So when I hike and it hurts, when I can't go any further, I literally count each step.
Right.
So when I say moving the mountains, I'm not talking about just any mountain. Your mountain can be your marriage.
Yes.
Your mountain can be your kids. Your mountain can be your health. It can be how you feel about yourself. And when I say just put one step, it might just be admitting I'm not okay. You know, I've had 3 surgeries this year. And lately I haven't been able to hike as much as I want, so I started swimming laps. And I'm at this pool yesterday, and I'm swimming laps, and I did 20 laps and did 21, and I'm trying to push through, right? And I posted the other day, and I was like, well, even water moves mountains, just ask the Grand Canyon. And so I'm telling myself, okay, you the Colorado River today, because you're going to keep doing this. So moving the mountains is really about doing just that. Whatever mountain's keeping you from, whether it's achieving a dream or loving yourself or realizing you can achieve your full potential, that's what that's about. Just putting that one foot in front of the other. My daddy would say just picking them up and putting them down.
That's right, too.
Putting one foot in front of the other, because if you can climb the mountain, you can move it.
You speaking life.
Your Bible says, the faith, the grain of a mustard seed can move mountains, right?
Right.
So if you can put that one foot forward, you might not be able to climb the whole mountain today, but you could take one step. In any situation you have going on, drugs, anything, I mean, you can stop numbing the pain and push through it. I did a video the other day because usually I have to take something for pain before I go hiking. And I forgot. And I was a good 1.5 miles into my hike when I realized it. And I said, okay, so how far can I go when I numb the pain versus when I push through it? You know what the answer was?
The same distance.
The same distance. It didn't matter. Whether I numb the pain or I push through it, it was the same distance. So that's what Moving the Mountains is for. It's about me being available and trying to help anybody that I can through my story, through my journey, because for a long time, and I mean, it was friends, it was people that loved me, that told me, you just smile, you pretend everything is okay. You act like you're fine.
Until you make it.
I never talked about any of my surgeries before they happened. I would tell them after the fact, oh, surgery went well. And then I would pretend like no pain was happening. So the 5th surgery, I started listening to my spirit. I started listening to the Most High, to the Master. And he said, no, you need to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
You got to tell the story. So for 121 days, no matter how I felt, there was a selfie. This was part of my story, and it was really transparent. So today I bled, you know what I'm saying? Today I cried. Today this is what hurt. You know, I lost my breast in this process. You know, my pastor, Warren Stewart Sr., he was telling me, because I had to go through plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, plastic surgery was worse than brain surgery.
Mm.
And there's people that hate themselves enough to do that to themselves on purpose.
It's no joke.
So that's really where Moving the Mountains came from.
But then they say they love themselves. That's why they do it.
You know, I had to do it. I didn't have a choice.
Right.
Because all of the things that had happened to my body destroyed things that had to be redone. And then my surgeon told me, he said, in these deformities, some of them have been here since you had your surgery when you were 6.
Mm.
So you never stood a chance for this to be okay.
Mm.
And that's what that was about. It was about me not saying I'm okay anymore. It was about me saying, you know what, I'm not okay. So that you can say, you know what, I'm not okay. And she's strong enough to say, she's not okay. This shit hurts. Like, this is painful. No, I don't want to get up this morning. I don't want to push through this anymore. But I'm going to just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I'm just going to keep picking them up and putting them down. So that I can move the mountains. And that's really what that's about. I didn't even develop that till this year. Because I finally realized that me keeping my story bottled in, pretending like everything okay, wasn't helping me. And it wasn't blessing anybody else to know that they could get through what they were going through.
Yeah.
And I have people on so many different platforms. Life Management Tribe, Facebook, Instagram, that are like, you have no idea. Like, in all this negativity that we see on social media, what your post, even on your bad day, says to me about what I'm going through, what I can push through.
Never know who we reaching.
And it's stories like yours that make people know that.
I mean, and there were days that I did not want to say anything. I'm just like, no. And until
we need that from you.
Until recently, until the surgery on the 17th, and this is me being as transparent as I can be. I woke up from plastic surgery and I did not have breast. And I was like, yep, there's no pictures. Nope, not going anywhere. Not going to Fry's. We're not doing any of that. Because I couldn't be seen. And so then it became about, what do you do when you can't even face yourself? So that's really my story. So again, it's at T Hunter, Moving the Mountains on Facebook, moving_the_mountains on Instagram.
Thank you.
And y'all can reach me anytime, because I try to do that for anybody. Anybody that I can help just take one step, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you for sharing your story. And I don't know who's doing your surgeries, but your breasts look phenomenal.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
That's the next show.
Shout out to the surgeon.
That's not pillow talk
I'm
yet.
saying, shout out to the surgeon.
Not pillow
when I
talk
saw
yet,
her,
man.
first thing I told her, she looked beautiful. So
Exactly.
for me,
I would have never knew.
Imagine you've been through any of that. And then for you to share that with us, and that's what God is. You don't look like what you've been through.
Exactly.
And that's exactly.
Shout out to the plastic surgeon too.
Yes.
Shout out to Elite.
Shout out.
Plastic surgery.
I'm gonna holler at you when I need
Good
you.
plug. Good plug.
Exactly. If y'all got her looking good, y'all might be able to help me too one day. I'm gonna come over here
I love y'all.
to Miss Tamika. Been in the background as came on in. I'm gonna tell y'all why y'all know we've been blessed tonight. Because the air went off.
Oh yeah,
The
building-
but it ain't.
Runaway slaves.
Yeah, but it's not 1,000 degrees in here yet.
No,
So
it's not.
you know what I mean. So it was okay. And you know what? I want to give a shout out to everybody that's on the string right now, because they've been out there the whole time.
Yeah.
They've been sticking with us and sharing. I
That's what's
appreciate
up.
all that support.
That's what's up.
Tamika, we've known each other, but I didn't know your story like that. I want to thank you for sharing, because the thing, like you said, when we're transparent, we don't know what other people have done or what they have gone through or what they're doing at the moment, what they're dealing with right now. And you, Trisheana, even Shogun sharing some of his story, I didn't know, you know. Like I said, I dealt with the mental illness in the family as well. Health issues run, you know what I mean? They correlate, you know. And it's a lot of things, you know. When I was a kid, they would say things like, you can't get up until you finish everything on your plate. So even if you full, in your mind, you said to yourself, I can't go nowhere until I finish the rest of this. So you overeating, and then it becomes a part of life. Because when you get older, if you're a little bit bigger, they make you a bigger plate because they automatically think you want to eat more anyway. And people will say things like, you need to lose weight. And I go, well, how do you do it? You need to stop eating so much. But then they will make me the biggest plate.
Come on.
And tell me, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, are you really helping me? Right. But it's because they don't know. They cook with grease. They cook with lard. They, you know what I mean? The stuff that they dealt with. And then now we try to substitute things and go, man, they don't taste the same. Like, Mama, grandmama and them used to use that, you know, that bacon. They used to use, you know. Yeah.
You giving me bad.
They use salt pork in they greens, but you know what I mean? They use salt pork in they greens. Our greens don't taste the same with the turkey, you know.
I have a saying for that, and I tell my students, my kids, what's good for you don't always taste good to you.
Man.
Okay?
Stop.
And what tastes good to you is not always good for you.
Man.
That's real.
And that's what I just learned. You know, nobody just loves eating, you know, vegetables all the time, every day. But, you know, at this point in time in life, let me just tell you, you know, it's so hard. Everything starts to come down on you at this point in time.
Hey.
You know, when you're young, you think you this way forever. You
the
think
snapback game ain't what it used to be.
And it takes a toll on you. So at this point, you know, it's merely a question of just either live or die.
That's real talk.
That's it.
And let me tell you what tripped me out. I don't know if y'all ever watch The Biggest Loser, but one of the trainers, Bob, that was on there. Bob just had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So Bob had the heart attack.
Yeah. Right.
And he filmed.
How deep is that?
It's real.
That's very deep.
It's real.
That's very deep. Bob was on there not practicing what he was preaching.
It's real.
That's very deep, and that goes a long way for all of us in any type of situation. Even going back to religion, spirituality, Christianity. You know, when people looking at you, when you got people looking at you, you know, that expectation, that responsibility out there is to show the right thing. Because, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, do you want on your conscience what could happen if you're showing the wrong thing or you're doing the wrong things with people, and then you have the consequences that come along with it, and you have that on your conscience because, you know,
right.
And that goes for me as well. But it's work. It's work, and I know this is work. But that's why I say it's a cycle. It's the parents. It's the parents before us. It's the grandparents. Things become generational and passed because it all gets passed down.
Exactly.
It gets passed down. Bad eating habits get passed down.
Can I tell you something?
Drugs get passed down.
Can I tell you something? Not to cut you off, but I can recall every big meal that I had with my family.
That's real talk.
I don't ever remember a salad.
Come on.
Being a part of the meal.
Pasta salad.
Potato salad.
Potato salad.
Macaroni salad.
I love my family.
But it's a cultural.
But it's a cultural. That's what I'm saying.
Because back then, those types of foods were meant for fuel.
Right.
Yes.
Like we ate a certain way back then because it was to fuel us in the fields. We had to pick cotton. We gotta pull those holes. You mean holes, not holes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, holes.
Right.
But you know, you gotta pull those oxens. You gotta till the land.
Right.
So, but and then when you talked about meat, we didn't get a lot of meat back then.
Right.
Slaves didn't get meat. To get meat was like a treat.
That's right.
Beans, greens.
A piece of the hog.
Come on, man. Things that really yams, things
Right.
that really sustained us as individuals.
And what we got was what they didn't eat.
Yeah.
The
Right.
gizzards and all of this
That's
kind
how
of
we
stuff.
got
Chitlins.
Chitlins,
Yep.
yeah.
chitlins.
Pig feet. Pig
Right.
ears.
Listen, y'all.
I'm not.
I love my people.
Stop the
I love what we
chitlins.
got.
Why
We gotta
are
be
we
conscious.
eating the guts? Literally, it smells like shit.
Yes.
So you telling me now you gonna clean the shit out?
And it tastes so
And
good.
it's gonna-
That's horrible.
I
It's gonna
can't-
be good
I ain't
after you
never-
clean the shit out.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I love my people, love my grandma and them, man.
Man.
Bless them all. But once again, either you're getting passed down generational wealth or generations of debt,
Yes.
That's right.
right?
Yes.
And not just money, but
Right.
a debt and a taxation on your body, your mind, and your spirit,
Right.
right? Man, a good friend of mine said, man, I don't trust that preachers. I said, what?
Mm.
I said, what do you mean? He said, man, how a preacher up there, man, all overweight, sweating and shit, gonna tell me how to live my life?
Mm.
Now,
I've heard that before too.
it blew my mind.
Right.
But it told me though also, now mind you, I might not have presented it that way,
Right.
but what I understood is you gotta really walk the walk. man.
Right.
That's
You
right.
really gotta walk the walk and talk the talk. Now
Mm-hmm.
ain't nobody gonna be perfection, man. That's fool's gold.
Right.
That's fool's gold looking for it, right? However, to master thyself is something else.
Right.
Right.
To master yourself and whatever that looks like. And not only that, put yourself around masters
That's
Yeah.
right.
who have mastered something, whatever that thing is, because
Right.
there's nothing else that sharpens iron other than iron. I swear you could try it if you want to. Nothing sharpens iron other than iron. Now, mind you, my goal used to be I wanted to be the sword, man. Yeah, man. Now I want to be the anvil in which the sword is built on, because at the end of the day, the anvil stood at them out there and killed each other with swords. But the anvil is the strongest thing ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're building on right now within
That's
this
right.
room and this consciousness with this culture that we are creating even at this moment is to be the anvil in which we build iron off of.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Righteous?
Exactly. Come on. They want to reach.
I just went somewhere.
Hey.
Absolutely
It's a
correct.
trip.
Kawan, if they want to reach out to you.
You can reach me on Twitter, man. Masters Dojo, man. It's very simple. Masters Dojo, man. At Masters Dojo, straight up. Or you can email me. mastersdojo1975@gmail.com. You can look me up on Facebook. If you want to send me out a message real quick, so let me know where you're at, 'cause I don't accept everybody's friend. I'm not everybody's friend on Facebook.
Right.
So if you want to friend me, try to send me some type of message on what you're on, what you're talking about, and we can build. But it's Kawan the Shogun Mitchell. Now you can look me up, type it up, you can find me. And those that I've seen, on the shares and the comments, man, say something. Say you want a link, to something, and we can send you links as well, right?
Yeah, we
You can
will.
put some comments and stuff out there. But I'm easy to get to, but I'm not always easy to reach. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, come with it, man, and I'll come back with it, and I'll meet you, man, tenfold.
And I love this brother right here. When,
Love you too.
Things come full circle. Like I said, we had a discussion last October
Man, that's
about
crazy.
him coming onto the show to discuss this very topic on the show. So the time I was able to get the show together, he was able to get his schedule situated where he was able to come in tonight, and I really appreciate him.
Hey, let me give a shout out real quick to my dude Dave Lotter out there in Tucson, man. We creating something right now, man, on some motivational comedy, man. We're gonna put some stuff together, man, for y'all, man. It's coming out real soon.
That's great. That's beautiful, and we want to support that too. Tamika, if they want to reach out to you for anything, how can they do that?
Come at me on Facebook. Reach me on Facebook. I just opened it up actually because I had some people trying to get in and see this. So it's open. Send me a friend request. Send me a message.
Okay.
They can contact me on Facebook.
Give them your name, because some people don't read.
Tamika Bufford. Bufford, Buff as in Frank, F as in Frank, ORD.
Somebody calling you Buford right now.
And I've lived with that my entire life. I'm used to it by now.
That's great. That's beautiful, and I'll thank you for sharing. Like I was saying,
Awesome.
I didn't know about your mother Look at
Hey,
look
you
at
got
God.
light.
Look at
Look at
God.
God.
Let me turn my light off.
Let there be
Cause
light.
my phone go die soon.
Everybody's
Mine
phone
too.
was dying. Everybody was.
We gonna push it till it goes
Who that?
Exactly. Oh man, come
But that
back up.
shows the love, though, man. 'Cause
Exactly.
It could have been like, hey, look,
It could have been.
I'm
And looking all creepy, we
Man,
done.
thank everybody that hug out. We appreciate y'all. Now we got light. We got real light. But
Yeah.
once again, I'm saying thank you for sharing because I didn't know. And you never know what people go through. And you never know someone's story. And also, it's not too many people that will just share their stories until they're in a position where they feel like they have to share it, you know. And you guys coming in sharing your stories is been beautiful, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having us.
That is my reasonable service.
Thank
I am
you.
So grateful.
Let me share some. I've been dealing with my own journeys, you know. I'm gonna just put it out here right now. My next show, which will be next week, we're gonna talk about the preparation of someone who's been incarcerated coming home.
Oh man, that's all.
From the side of trying to assist the person that's coming home to the family side of having to rearrange their lives because a family member or a friend or someone close is coming home. And we want to talk about the recidivism rate, which recidivism means coming in and out. And like we were speaking earlier about, everybody gets a piece of the pie. Once you get involved in the court system and the jail system, it could be a lifetime situation for you. So we want to address that. Also, it was similar but separate. I had a young lady I was in communication with, and you know, she was telling me she wanted to help me with something, but I'm a big person in regards to approach. Like, if you're talking to me about something serious, I don't think you should do it after you had a couple glasses of wine.
No.
And then tell me, well, I know I have a problem with wine, but I don't want to deal with that right now. But I want to help you deal with your situation, you know. And it was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's cliche how I'm a fixer. But if you're a fixer, then I think you should fix yourself before trying to fix me.
Or at least be working on it.
Exactly. And this is my thing. If you want to approach somebody, approach them in a way that they're comfortable with being approached. Don't take it upon yourself to think that because you want to help them that they're not already in the process of helping themselves or doing the things that they've been doing to help themselves, you know. And the other part of that is, even though I may not want your help, that doesn't mean I don't want your support.
That's right.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Big difference.
Let me decide when I'm ready to reach out for your help. If you say, you know what, this is something I need to deal with myself, I say no problem. If you need me, I'll be there. Don't get mad at me if I don't want the assistance that you want to give me when you want to give it to me. You know, but people have their own way of looking at things and thinking about things. But that's just my perspective on things. So this has been good for me because I didn't do a show last week. I had my daughter in town. I had a family member come home from the correctional system, so I've been trying to juggle that. And once again, that's a part of me trying to get my life again because that's not something I've had to deal with. Now it's like,